Hello, everybody, and welcome to the customer demonstration of Enterprise Suite. We're going to log in with our username and password, and we're going to connect via the local area network rather than the internet. Okay, so I'm going to sign in. Okay, CRM comes up first. We've already done the demo on CRM, so we're going to go straight to the customer module. Okay, as you can see, you've got your new section of the menu, Find, and we also have a much bigger tool section than the CRM section that includes things like credit control, batch document printing, and we'll go through all these in a while. Okay, let's first look at an actual customer account. Okay, so if I go to Find Customer, it'll list all my customers. I'll pick on my example UK company, and as you can see from the search list, you've got the name, the address, and all that sort of stuff. Okay, so let's double click into them. Okay, we can see the name, obviously, which we can change, the address, telephone number, fax number. We've also got custom fields. Okay, so if I show you, I'll give you an example of how custom fields work. These are for things like, things that you want to keep track of. For example, SIC code, number of employees, turnover. So if I double click on that, we've actually created some fields in our database. Okay, that you can do exactly the same. So I've if I drag and drop these on, number of employees, yeah. Say yes to save those, save the layout. Essentially, we now have a turnover field and a number of employees field, yeah, which you can use as you want to. Okay, we've also got a recent history information, so we can see the latest quotes. We can also see trading information, like what's the balance on their account, what's the outstanding orders. Okay, and down below we actually have some extra tabs, which are, this is all the contacts at this actual customer record. Okay, so as you can see, I've got 2 contacts on here. Okay, so there's our contacts. There's notes, so let's add a note. Okay, so I'll just call this example note. You can see it's automatically put the contact's name on it. Okay, it's automatically put my name as a user on there and the date and time created. And then we can put whatever notes we want to. So I can see that information. Okay, so we can also see activities that have been occurring to this customer account. You've also got a zoom button over here. So if you wanted to see more detail, there's a lot of detail here, you can actually just zoom that up. So you can actually see it in more detail. So you can see that there are kind of activities that have been going on with this customer, like we've been doing some calls, we've been doing some callbacks, we've got some callbacks to make, we've got an outstanding case, and you've got the same kind of searching activity filters and day views that we showed you in CRM. Okay, we've also got, is there any outstanding cases for case tabs, a case tab, any outstanding opportunities. Okay, and their values. Have we had any emails sent or received to this particular customer or contact? And do I want to do a new email? This shows the kind of level of integration, because obviously the emails are integrated, the case management's integrated, the opportunities are integrated. Everything to do with this customer is in one place. Okay, so that tells me if there's any emails, any faxes, any documents that we want to attach to this customer record, and has this customer been part of any waves that we created? And in the CRM demonstration, we created a wave that included this particular customer record. So that shows that they were part of a call wave. Okay, now I'm looking at the general tab in this customer record. And the contacts, notes, activities, cases, opportunities, and everything else are all to do with this particular customer overall. But if I go into this particular contact, it takes me to the contact tab, and then the notes, activities, cases, opportunities, emails, and faxes, and documents, and wave activity are all to do with that contact. So we have a contact-centered view. Yeah, and the general is a company-centered view, so it covers all the notes, all the activities. Okay, so in a contact record, you've obviously got the name and address. If it's different, there are individual phone numbers and mobiles, and you've also got other information. And one of the other things is, because it's totally integrated to the e-commerce system, do you allow them to have web access, and what's their username and password that they actually use for the website to place orders or look at their account, whatever. Okay. So if we go back to the General tab, you can also see that we've got some icon buttons here. Okay, so that means that from this customer record, not only can I see everything going on with this customer, but I can also create a quote. I can do a sales order here and now. I can create an invoice here and now. I can create a new contact. I can do a new note that way. I can do a new activity. I can create a new case. I can create a new opportunity. I can do everything that I can do via the menu, but also in the actual customer record if I was looking at them now and wanted to do it straight away. You've also got an is on credit hold, okay, and also are they active. So if you untick them as an active, they'll still appear in your list, but they won't appear in any of your search lists. So when you kind of do a quote or an order, they won't actually clog up your lists anymore. So now I'm going to go into the setup tab. As you can see on the top, you've got the currency. So you can actually decide what currency you want to trade in with this particular customer, and the credit limit. And we have payment groups, okay, and payment terms. Payment terms, what we normally understand as 30 days from document day or COD or whatever. But payment groups, what they do is they put them together in groups. So what you can, so when you're looking at a particular customer, if you say that they're in this particular payment group, then the user will only have options to offer them those particular payment types. For example, if you trade with someone abroad, it might be COD or wire transfer or whatever it is, and those are the only options available to anyone in Europe. But in the UK, you might offer 30 days or check and whatever. Same with shipping methods as an example. It may be that you offer next day to UK customers, but you can't offer next day to EU or customers in the States, because obviously you just can't do it. So what you do is you group your shipping method types together, so you know what you can offer a particular customer. Okay, default tax code, default warehouse, who they assigned to, which user they assigned to in the main, and down here we have things like is there a rep assigned to them as default, even though you can assign to every order or invoice a different sales rep or multiple sales reps, so you can split the commission. We have full commission, processing commission functionality. Then what's their VAT registration and registration number, and we also have something called customer ranking, and this is recalculated in setup by looking at what's their outstanding balance as a percentage of their overall outstanding balance, what's their outstanding orders as a percentage of all outstanding orders, and what's their turnover as a percentage of all our customer turnover this year. And then obviously how many days do they usually pay on average, and that's weighted, so we kind of come out a decent rank. So for example, if we wanted to allocate stock, we had limited stock, we could do it by customer rank. We could do it by delivery area or due date on the item lines, but effectively we can rank our customers by best to worst, and that seems a good way of actually weighting them. Okay, so let's just go back to the customer record. All right, we've looked at the contact tab. We also have over here the nominal or GL analysis, so you can actually specify this by item, by customer, by category, or by the defaults. And this is basically just read only because we've specified that we just wanted to use the defaults in this particular demo company. In the advanced version, not the standard version, you'll be able to have different layouts for every document. And you'll also be able to put custom messages on every document for this particular customer. So when an invoice is printed, let's say, you might have a customer message that needs to go on there. Okay, so pricing. Okay, now pricing is dealt with in detail in the inventory module. But essentially we say this customer, if we set up special pricing for this customer, then it would use the special pricing here. Okay, if there was no special pricing set up here, then it would use this pricing method up here. Okay, so if this was, let's say, set at use a price list and use this standard price list, then it would use the special pricing first, then it would use the price list. If the item wasn't in the price list, then it would use the wholesale or retail price, depending on which one you set. So let's set up a special price for a few items. So let's say this item and this item. Okay. What we have here is if it's simply that we just charge, I don't know, £100, yeah, for each one of those, that's it, done. Okay. But if we wanted to do a bit more detail than that, we can actually drill down here, and we can actually see that we could then do special pricing for each type of unit of measure. So it may be that for dozens we do a better price than we do for each. Yeah, so if I look at quantity breaks, I can say, right, if we sell one each to 100, okay, we do them for £100. Okay, but if we do 101, if they buy 101 to 200, then we do them for £99. Yeah, and above that, we'll do them for 98. Okay, but it may be that if I haven't set up any quantity breaks on the dozens, okay, then if I sold 1 dozen, it would look at the default unit of measure to go and get, and it would price them at £1,200. But if I start putting some minimums and maximums and some prices in this dozen unit of measure, then it would use that when I use that unit of measure. So this can be as easy or as complicated as you want it to be. Okay, so if it's just a straight price, that the special price that they pay, put it in there. But if you actually want to kind of then make it more complicated and do it by unit of measure, then obviously that's when you click this and then start entering them on. Because pricing is a very complicated thing in a lot of systems, yeah, and this is essentially a very easy way to do it. The price lists, the price list setup is actually in the inventory module, yeah, and works on a very, very similar basis. And we'll come to that when we actually look at the inventory module. Okay, we also have a tab here for customer part codes. Okay, so what this means is if I pick these items here, we can actually specify the customer item code and the customer description. So when we produce their order acknowledgement or their invoice or whatever, we can actually put their part code and their description on it. And later on, this will be used for EDI when we actually want to pull in orders directly from their system. So we know what their stock codes and descriptions are, so we can automatically pull the order in and send them the invoice back out that way electronically. Okay, we also have an analysis tab. Okay, so we can see here the monthly trading, profit, sales, returns, the turnover, and we can also see the transactions here for any particular month. We also have a transactions tab. Okay, so let me just expand this out a little bit. We can see all the quotes. Yeah, open is just the outstanding ones. Closed is obviously the ones that maybe have been converted to an orders or cancelled, or all is just them all. We've got orders, invoices, returns, credit notes, receipts, refunds, and we've also got a ledger view. So a ledger view allows us to see all the invoices, all the receipts, all the refunds, and all the credit notes, etc. Okay, so there's our invoice. We've got a receipt on there as well. So if we look at this invoice here, we can see we've got an invoice type, the document date, the due date, the customer order number, the order it was linked to if there was one, the total amount, the base amount, the outstanding amount. Now, the base outstanding amount, was there any settlement discount taken? Are there any attachments? Is it in dispute? So if I tick that box and sort of write a book, yeah, then basically I can say I can keep that with it. Now, this receipt here has got 0 outstanding. So if I double click on that, it will actually give me the allocations that have taken place against that receipt. So I can see that receipt number 6 for £1,000 was allocated against this invoice, and obviously left 525 outstanding. Okay, I can also drill down on the actual invoice to see the original invoice details, and I can also obviously drill down the original receipt to see what details were on there as well. If there's no cross against the actual attachment, yeah, when I click that, what it's telling me is there are some attachments behind, yeah, that particular invoice. So it could be that you scan in your delivery notes and then you want to attach them to the invoice, so you've actually got a hard copy record in the database, and obviously all you do is just kind of click on that and it opens it up. And you can add as many different attachments, whether it's spreadsheets, images, whatever, against that particular individual invoice. And you can do it this way, yeah, or we actually have an attached document routine, so you can actually do it against multiple invoices at once, or multiple delivery notes or whatever. Okay, you can also sort on the columns. So you've got sorting, you've got grouping. This is standard everywhere. So if I group by box and say I want to do it by type, it then splits them out by invoice, by receipts, or whatever. Or you can do it by date, whatever. Okay, so let's look at recent sales. The recent sales tab. Okay, this lists all the items, yeah, that they ever bought. This customer's ever bought from us, and it shows that they bought one on this occasion at this sales price. That was the cost price. That was the margin. Okay, we're obviously selling stuff there at a loss, but never mind. The table down here, okay, is a bit like the Amazon cross-sell, upsell sort of situation. What it's saying is people that buy that item also buy these items, yeah, and they're not buying them. So why don't you ask them about it? Okay. And we also have a buying history. Okay. So what this tells me is that people's buying patterns are changing. So what it does, it looks at the last 24 months history for each item, and it says, right, is there a difference? Okay, so has it changed? So if they used to order 100 a month, yeah, and suddenly they order 50 or they order 0, yeah, it'll be in red. Yeah, if they actually order 30% less than they usually did, then it'll be amber. But and obviously if it's similar, yeah, then basically it'll be green. Okay, so what it's doing is it's flagging you up to say you better ask them, okay, about this item here, these items, yeah, because these are all flagged as red because they're either not buying them anymore, which is fine, but if they are buying them, if they are still buying them, then they're not buying them off you. So you need to find out why, what's gone wrong, and how can you get the business back? Okay, we also have a credit tab. Okay, so what this does is this tells us how much they owe us, yeah, and allows us to kind of effectively chase the debt. Okay, so we've got 2 invoices outstanding. If there were credit notes or receipts outstanding, those would be here as well. I can see that there's some sort of dispute on here. Well, we actually entered that in our transaction list earlier. I can see there's the amount of money. Now this is done by due date, but you can do it by document date or due date. If you do it by document date, it just switches the columns, yeah, to future, current, yeah. But obviously due date's very good because if you've got different terms of different customers, and even different terms on different invoices for the same customer, then due date, obviously not due means it's not due. 1 to 7 days overdue means it's up to 7 days overdue, 14 days overdue. You can change the brackets as well to actually be whatever kind of space you want. If this is a foreign currency customer, we could switch it to home or customer currency as well. Okay, so let's say that, we're talking to the customer. He says, yeah, invoice number 14 and 15. I don't seem to have a copy of those. Yeah, could you send me a copy? So if I click on send copy invoices after ticking them, okay, it launches our normal sort of print dialog, and instead of just printing them, yeah, I'm actually going to say, right, email them. Yeah, and you can see it automatically puts the email address of this particular customer and contact in. Or what you could do is you could just do lowest cost route. Okay, and the lowest cost route, what this is all about is if they have an email address, it will use it. If they haven't got an email address, yeah, then it'll look for a fax number. If they haven't got a fax number, yeah, then obviously then I'll print it off. Okay, so what it's doing is the email is obviously no cost if you've got an ADSL line because it's just going to use it. Fax is obviously sub 10p per page, and obviously lowest cost route looks to try and minimize the cost of you actually sending that document to them or those documents. So if I just print preview it, okay, you can actually see that it'll just copy those 2 invoices in a nice preview kind of screen. All the printing is actually set up the same way, okay? So essentially, whether you're printing a statement run of 200, that same print dialog comes up. Yeah, so you've got all the same options, that you actually have whatever documents you're printing. All right, and he also says, right, I promise to pay you by the end of the month. Okay, so if I put in here the 31st, it'll tag both of those records because I've got them ticked as promised to pay on those dates. It's just a nice way of chasing, and obviously you've got the things so that you can add some notes here specifically to do the debt chasing. We also have as many delivery addresses as you want. But instead of just having a delivery address with a tax code or whatever, we have, because all these are reusable components, as it were, from a programming point of view, that means no effort, okay? It means that for every delivery address, we don't just have the delivery address, but we can also have contacts, notes, activities, emails to do with just that particular delivery address. And if I look at the setup record, I can see things like open times, close times, special instructions, can they take a particular truck size? It's up to you, and obviously you can just then see transactions to do with just that particular delivery address. Okay. All right, so back to the customer record. That is essentially, the customer record. But the main thing about it is when you look at that customer record, You can see everything. You don't have to go anywhere. You don't have to kind of come out and go to your CRM system to look at your notes or activities or the cases or problems that's going on or whatever. You know, you don't have to have some sort of separate faxing or email system. You know, it's all here. Everything to do with that customer, yeah, is all in one place. Yeah, you don't need a separate credit control module. You know, there it is. You know everything that's going on with that customer, yeah, or prospect for that matter, yeah, all in one place. Um, I think it's about time, um, and you know that's the power of a truly integrated system. Okay, so let's come out of the customer record, and I touched on this in CRM, but let's create a new customer record. Sorry. Okay, the country is the United Kingdom. Okay, so when I click on, uh, if I pick somewhere like France, for example. Okay, I've got to pick a name first. A customer. I'll put France on it, so we know it's going to be a French one. I type in France. Okay. What what basically we have here, because we are linked to an e-commerce system, well, we're not linked, we're integrated, you know, to an e-commerce system. We had to sort out some of the issues to do with e-commerce, yeah, from day one, which are you could have a customer in Germany or France or United States or Australia that wants to set up an account on your e-commerce system. But you need to set up the proper currency and the proper tax rates that you need to charge that particular customer. Okay, so someone in France, for example, if they're a business, we would use EC sales. Okay, so what I'm saying here is the business type is business. Yeah, it could be business or it could be a consumer. If it's business, okay, then it's effectively what we'd expect to put on as default in on the record is yes, euros. The currency is being euros, but also EC sales being the default tax code. Most systems only have one set of defaults. Set up a customer record, it just defaults in the normal tax code, the normal currency. You've got to change it all. What we're trying to do is streamline, yeah, the actual way that you actually create a customer, so it could be created automatically by the e-commerce system. Okay. If I go back here though and change this back to United Kingdom. Okay. Actually, I should change it back to France. Sorry about that. And now change this to consumer. Yeah. So if we were dealing in with a consumer in France, yeah, then it would charge the standard rate. They might still be in euros, but effectively we're going to charge standard rate. Okay. And if I look at United Kingdom, if I could spell it right. No, I don't want to add. And do business. Effectively, business and consumer are exactly the same in the United Kingdom. So we have a GB pound and a standard rate tax. Okay, so I finished there. It creates the customer record. If I wanted to find a customer record, I can use the find option. If I just look at that particular one we just created, which I think it was that one on the top there. One of the things is the address formats. This is an example of the kind of pop-in, the plugin architecture that we have. By changing this to, let's say, the United States, okay, what will happen is the actual format of the address changes to address, city, state, and postcode. And because we automatically have the United States and the Canadian postcodes in the system, yeah, it demands that basically the postcode comes from the database. So obviously I pick 90210 and it automatically puts in Beverly Hills, California, Los Angeles. If I change this back to the United Kingdom, the address format changes to address, city, county, and postcode. But the postcode is not, you know, it doesn't have to be in the database. Okay. Okay. Let's look at, instead of creating a sales rep, let's actually look at a sales rep we already got. Okay, so let's look at ABC. Now, sales reps can be agents, yeah, or they can actually be, you know, sales reps within our company. Okay. Within a sales rep, you've obviously got contacts, notes, activities, emails, and faxes that you've actually been dealing with them with. And in setup, you decide what percentage commission you usually pay as default, apply to sales or profit. Okay, but what you can actually do is in the categories tab is decide for each category what percentage of commission you pay and whether you apply that to sales or profit. So it may be that on some particular items you don't give any commission, or other items you give it based on revenue, and others you give it based on profit. But you can cope with all. Link transactions, so you can actually see all the transactions that are linked, whether they're quotes, orders, invoices, across all the customers. You can also see the linked customers, and any linked opportunities that may have been set up as opportunities, and commissions that are due. So we can actually see all the unpaid commission. So we obviously owe this particular a sales rep, who's actually obviously in euros, 20, and it totals it up for us, and it'll split it up into paid and unpaid when we actually run the commission. While we're actually on the sales rep, then, if we look at process commission, we can process it up to a particular date. We can decide who we're going to pay, and then what we can do is we can actually see which invoices we actually want to pay on. So it may be that if there's a dispute on one of these, it's prompting us to say, well, we're not, we're due to pay commission on it, but we're not going to pay commission. If you only pay commission on paid accounts, then you only want to pay commission on the ones with zero outstanding. So you can cope with all those scenarios. And if you actually look at the drill down button on the invoice, you can actually see, the actual profit that made up a particular invoice. So you can see that there's two items. There was the actual. It was applied to sales and commission, because it may be that on even the same invoice that you could be applying it to sales on one and profit on another item, depending on how it's set up. And then you obviously process the commission in it, or produce the sheets. And if you want, if they're if you class them as agents rather than reps, it'll post a purchase invoice to their actual account. Okay, so let's do a quote. Actually, let's do an order. Quotes and orders are exactly the same, and when you do an order, you can decide to do it from available sales quotes if you want, converting them, and you can convert multiple sales quotes into one order if you wanted to. Let's just pick a customer, and let's pick this Euro customer, this French one. Okay. The first thing is, what's the customer purchase order number? Okay, well, let's say it's verbal. Okay, what's the terms? Who's our contact there? What's the shipping method? Okay, it's in euros. You can change this if you want to, so you can change the actual exchange rate that's going to happen on this particular order. And now you're down to part codes. Okay, so lots of different types of item we have in Enterprise. Okay, so I'll run through a couple of the scenarios, but essentially, if I just click that, it'll give me everything. Okay, so if I click on Kingston memory, okay, and this Intel processor, I can actually see for this I want 10. Okay, now 10 each. Okay, if you look down here, it's giving me availability across my warehouses. Okay, so what it's saying is you've got 27 in stock. Okay, yes, I know, never mind. It's 27 in stock, 1215 committed, a bit difficult, but never mind. A negative stock, because obviously what I'm doing is here I'm selling far more than I've actually got. Okay, terrible demo data, never mind. How many have I got on back order? How many have I got on purchase order? In transit? What's my potential stock? Now, on every transaction, every kind of hyperlink that you see, you can drill down and you can actually see what makes up that 1,215 that are actually committed. And you can see that we've got a very big order there for 101 dozen, which is obviously 1,212 each. That's the base stock quantity. If I had any on purchase order, I can actually drill down on those and see, well, what's on purchase order and when they're coming in. Now, also, because I'm on this item line, I can actually see the history. So I can see, have I ever sold this item to this customer before? And if I had, there'd be some information there. Are there any substitutes? For this item? Are there any accessories? So it may be that you're kind of selling the RAM, but do you want some static gloves while you're there? So I'll say 1, add that to the order. Okay, okay, so we've also got cross-sell and upsell. Okay, so what this means is we're prompting people to basically we're prompting people to say, people that buy that item also buy these items. you want to add them to the order? So ask the customer about them while you're actually, if you're on the phone to them. So I say, oh yeah, Mr. Customer, have you thought about buying these as well? People that buy those usually buy those as well. So I'll kind of add that to the order. Um, to make things, there's an awful lot on this screen, okay, and we have zoom buttons. So it's far easier to take stuff off than it is actually add stuff, okay. So if you kind of click that button there, you can expand the item lines up, okay, and then you get the actual kind of stock information there as well. But if you're down here, you can actually use the zoom button again and actually make that bigger. So while you're dealing with it, yeah, then you can zoom it back down again. You can also do that by paging up and down as well. Okay, so if I stick back to this item line here, okay, you can see we've got main warehouse. What's the tax code? Is it drop ship? If we tick that there, then basically we have a drop ship routine in the customer. We can actually create the purchase orders directly from here as well, but essentially you could also do it as a routine. What's the pricing method? So if I overtype this here, yeah, and type €20, it'll put my name in, yeah, because I've overridden the price, if I'm allowed to, of course. Um, if I put in that's the nominal code, what's the due date? These columns can all be dragged and dropped off, so it's up to you how much you actually have on there and how much you don't. You've got commission. Okay, so if there was going to be commission paid on these, how much would that commission be? In the top here, you have what's the sale, who is the sales rep or reps? Yeah, so all the commission is going to go to that particular rep. Yeah, which we just obviously looked at. And have we part shipped? And if we have, what are the shipments? And what's the profit on the order? And we've actually made some profit. Marvelous. But I noticed on that item they've made a loss. But maybe that's a loss leader. I don't know. Okay. So here's our order. Okay. We've got a subtotal, we've got freight. Freight will automatically be calculated by weight, by volume, and by order value, depending on what you want it to be. You can obviously override the weight calculation, the freight calculation. But we also have different a few other different items as well. Okay, so for example, kits. Okay, so if I type a kit in here, okay, it'll list all my kits, and I set one up earlier, okay, and this is a computer example. So I say okay on that. What happens is it pops up a box which is a kit configurator. So I'm going for a kit price, which is the overall price here, okay, and what it's saying to me here is which motherboard. So I can say, well, that motherboard there is included with the price, but if I have that one, it's less €15. If I have that one, it's less €30. Okay, so if I can click on that one, and then it changes the price. What RAM? Yeah, and I can do exactly the same thing there, and I can do, what hard it is. It prompts me to sort of say, what do you want? Okay, and when I say okay, it will drop all the actual individual items in. So I can see the plus box there is highlighted. If I click on that, it will actually detail all the individual items. Because kits are essentially, we're going to pick all the individual items, but we're selling the complete kit, if you know what I mean. Okay. We also have another type of item, which is a matrix item. Okay, so let's look, and what I've done is I've created a t-shirt, okay, so my t-shirts, okay, anything in grey is obviously we've got it in stock, anything in red we haven't got it in stock, okay, so what I can see here is that my t-shirts are large, medium, small and extra large, and my colours are red, white and blue, okay, so what I can do is I can say, well, you want 10 of those, and you want 20 of those, but Mr. Customer, you know that these small white ones, yeah, even though you want 10 of them, okay, we haven't got any in stock. Okay, so do I want to change the sale price? Okay, it's automatically got sale prices in there, but I could apply a different sales price to each one. Say okay, and that'll drop those 3 items that I actually chose within the grid with the prices, and I can obviously amend it and change it. Okay, so there is a sales order. Okay, now I can print right now a pick note or an order acknowledgement if I want to. Or what I can do is I can actually, let me just save it. What I can actually do is go to what's called batch document printing here and go print picking note. And what you'll be able to see is that order, sales order number 13 in the list. So these are all my unprinted orders that need pick notes printing. Yeah, or I could see all orders that need picking note printed. So it depends how your company works. So if you have a guy in the warehouse or whatever, he might be coming in here to print all the picking notes off. But maybe that you print them off in a batch and then take them down to the warehouse to pick. It's up to you. Okay, so let's just go back to the order for a second. Okay, now we have workflow. Okay, and the workflow in the standard version, okay, is approve credit, which means that it'll look at the credit limit on the account, okay, and it'll say, right, there's the value of the outstanding orders, including tax. There's the outstanding balance on the account. Okay, take that away from the credit limit. That's how much they've got left to spend before the orders go on hold. Then, as you're doing a new order, okay, it will be adding the order up, okay, and it will be telling you whether they're going to be this order is going to be put on hold or not. Okay, so if the actual order goes on hold, it will be automatically put to the approved credit status. Okay, but this order was automatically put to the print pick note status because it was within their credit limit. Okay, it wasn't over their credit limit. Now, so what we have in standard is approved credit, print pick note, ready to invoice, complete. Okay, so basically we can manually decide, to move those on or not. Okay, now in the advanced version, okay, so let me just kind of go into the preferences in customer. You can see here, okay, that these two, require credit approval and require picking note, yeah, are statuses that can be amended. Okay, but in the advanced version, you'll be able to specify, I want an order acknowledgement, I want a separate delivery note, I want a separate pick and pack, confirm pick and pack. So what that means is that when you do the order, yeah, you'll have, does it require credit approval? You'll have to print off, if someone ticks that box there, you'll have to print off an order acknowledgement. If someone ticks that box there, you'll have to print a picking note, ticks that one there, you'll have to confirm pick and pack, and then you'll have to print off separate delivery notes before you can actually print the invoice. It just, however you want to work, essentially. While we're actually in these preferences, there's another little box here that I want to show you, which is ignore stock levels. Now, it really depends on how you work. Ignore stock levels means that when you put an order on, in reality, in the background, it'll allocate, if you've got 100 on order, but only 50 in stock, you put 100 on the order, it allocates 100. Okay. And basically, when you do a pick note, it's got 100 on it. Yeah. When you do if you want to do the invoice, it says basically 100 on order, 100 basically to ship now. And then you have to amend it, yeah, to actually say how many you are going to ship and how many you want to put on back order. Okay, but if you untick that, okay, then what happens is that 100, what happens is the, and you've only got 50 in stock, when you do the pick note, it only has 50 on. And when you have the invoice, it'll go 100 on ordered, 50 ship now, 50 on back order. Yeah. It really depends on how you want to work because some people have a lot of stock coming in. Yeah, they have a lot of orders going out, and sometimes they may not even book the stock in, yeah, before they've actually started to ship them out. So it really depends. If you've got accurate stock control, then you turn that off. Yeah, but if you haven't got accurate stock control, then you might want to ignore stock levels. Okay. So what we try to do is cater for all the different types of people and the way they can actually run stock. Okay. So here's our order. Okay. So we can move this order on. So I can print the pick note here. I can print it in a batch. I can convert to a sales invoice here and now, as long as the status was set to that. It won't let me do it now because my status is print pick note. Yeah, it'll only move it on when I actually print the pick note, or I can manually override it if I've got access to do that. Okay, so save and close. Okay, so we've done an order. Okay, now let's say we've printed off our pick notes. They come back, they confirm that they've been picked okay. We're going to create a new invoice. This in standard is essentially our simple confirm with pick and pack them. Yeah, and now we want to invoice them. So there's our sales order. Okay, we tick it, we say okay. It'll bring up the actual document. Obviously, if you're running a batch, you could tick multiple ones, and you get the choice then to actually view them or not. Yeah, because obviously, if you're doing, let's say, 30 invoice, confirming 30 orders have been picked and gone, you just tick all 30, say OK, not view them, and then just go into batch print and print them all off in one go. Okay, but obviously I'm doing it individually, so I'm saying this one's gone, and it automatically brings it up. So here's our order. And basically I can print the invoice here and now, or I can again print them in a batch here. It's up to me how I want to work. And save and close, that will actually post the invoice. You can see quantity 1, ship 1, back order none. And if I was if let's say I was out in the warehouse, there was 10 on the pick note, but I only picked 9, I couldn't find the other one. The 10 would be there, and you put 9 in ship and 1 on back order, or you just ignore the back order. It's up to you. Um, okay, so that'll save that invoice. It's been posted. Okay, returns are exactly the same as obviously doing an order and invoice, but you can do returns based on posted invoices if you wanted to, or just based on active customers. It's up to you. So if you wanted to kind of say, well, have they actually bought any of these off me before, or I've done that invoice wrong, or they want to return all those goods, then you can just pick a particular invoice, like that one we just did, for example, yeah, and actually decide how many you want to return of each one. So it tells you that you've shipped one of each, yeah. So you say, well, they want to return that one, yeah. So essentially, we've created a return. I can print off the return note to send to them, and they can return the goods with that return note. And then obviously when you actually do the credit note, you can do it from open RMAs, returns, or you can just do it from posted invoices, or you can just do it from active customers. It's up to you. Okay, customer receipts. This is obviously you're getting money from the actual customer. If I, pick on my French customer there that I've just looked at, I can type an amount of money in. Let's say, I don't know, 10 euros. This is a French customer in euros. What was the exchange rate? I can say, was there a check number or a wire transfer or whatever? What's the paying in slip? Okay. I'm putting it into my sterling bank account. Okay, so it's saying to me that there's £6.67 going into that sterling bank account, just as a rough exchange rate. If I double click on that, I can actually put some bank charges in here as well, or I can change the actual amount going in if I knew what it was. Or I can also pick another bank account, which might be, have I got a euro bank account? Yeah, so I was putting it into euros. Yeah, obviously 10 euros being paid, 10 euros going into my euro bank account. So I can save that. I could have allocated here and now if I wanted to, or I can go to the allocation detail and pick up, let's say, credit notes or whatever else I might have, yeah, other receipts, and then go allocate them against the actual invoices. So if I just pick on that invoice there, you can see I put my 10 euros against that, so there's some outstanding on it. If there was settlement discount, okay, I can also apply that. I don't have to kind of apply it at the start of doing the receipt. Okay. One important point about this system as well to do with foreign currency is that loss or gains are only taken when you actually when you allocate a transaction. So for example, if we had let's say $100 invoice outstanding on a customer account, and then we put $100 receipt, okay, let's say the invoice was at $2 to the pound, so that was worth £50 in reality, and when we put the receipt on, it was 1.5, so that was worth 75 pounds. Effectively, we've got a £25 gain there. So that loss or gain is only posted against the debtors control account at that point in time. Okay, a very important point, because a lot of systems don't really cope with multi-currency revaluation or multi-currency loss or gains very, very well. And we were determined to obviously make sure when we developed this system that it did. So obviously I'll come to more about multi-currency revaluation later on when I look at the accounts module, but essentially it's a very important point. Okay, so we've got new, we've been through a lot of new, we've been through find. When you look at find, you can find an order, they're all listed there, open sales orders, sales order history. You can see what kind of status they're at, how much they're worth, what currency they're in. Now in tools, we've got credit control. Okay, so this is designed to help you chase debts and look at your overall age debt better. So we'll look at outstanding balances. This will give me my top 10, my top 20, whatever. So here's obviously my top 10. I can see how much they owe me based on due date. I can see what percentage of the overall total that this particular customer makes up. So I can see that their balance is 1,194. This particular customer is in euros, but obviously this is the base equivalent of their amount that's outstanding. So if I look at my example company here, I can drill down on them from here. Okay, if I wanted to, yeah, or I can do this actually in the overall age debt. So look at overall age debt. This gives me a different look of it, but basically says this is on due date. So what's due, so what's not due, what's 7 days overdue, 14 days overdue. You can also change the brackets to 14 days, 28 days, or 30 days. So I can see that this customer here has got something that's over 7 days overdue, but they've also got a negative, which might be an outstanding credit or receipt that's also older than 28 days. Okay. Okay, so if I kind of move that to document date, you can see the graphs change as well, and also obviously the brackets, they'll change as well. Okay, so here's my example company. If I was debt chasing, okay, what I could do is I could sort on the biggest and oldest debts first and chase those up first. Okay, and by drilling down, yeah, from there I can actually drill down to the customer, and it opens at the credit receivables tab. We've already seen this, in a bit more detail, but essentially this is how you can then chase that particular one, come back out of there, and then go and chase up another one. And you can also obviously print this list in whatever sort of format you've decided. Okay. Okay. We've got a predicted cash flow here. Okay, and what this does is, it's not just, oh, this is the due dates. What it does is it calculates an average number of days to pay that each customer takes to pay you. Okay, then it applies that to their outstanding invoices, and then it predicts what amount of money is coming in each day, and then obviously the cumulative total of that. And then if you look here, you can actually see then it brings up the actual transactions with each of these predicted dates. So you can so you've got the actual a 31-day cash flow, which is fairly accurate based on customers' payment patterns from history. Statement runs, debtor letter runs. Okay, so a statement run can be as of what date. Do you want to include dispute transactions? Which customers? So pick a few, whatever, and that's it. And it brings up the print dialog to say, do you want to send them by the lowest cost route? So obviously it'll email the ones it can. If they've got email addresses, it'll fax them. If they've got fax numbers, it'll print them off. Okay. The debtor letter run, okay, is cleverer because what it does is it looks at all the outstanding transactions on a customer account and says, right, how old is it? Okay, and if you look here, we've got an option in the setup, and you can specify for how many days overdue the oldest transaction is, yeah, a particular set of text. So what I'm saying is this is a 30-day text, and that's the message I want to put on the letter if they've got a transaction that is over 30 days. Okay, so it means that you can do one letter run, yeah, and it puts the correct letter in, letter text in, depending on how old their oldest debt is that's not in query. Okay, so it's quite intelligent. Okay. What else have we got? Okay. We've got an allocate free stock routine if you wanted to work this way. And what this is you put all the orders on, and you can sort all the orders, let's say by customer ranking, which we discussed earlier, the customer, the sales order, the item line due date, or the delivery route. Okay, because it may be that you're trying to stack up a truck that's going to a particular area, so then you'd probably try and do it by route. Okay, so let's say by item due date. Do I want to include picking notes already printed? So if I've already printed the pick notes and they're really in the warehouse in picking, I really don't want to be messing about with them, because obviously I've sent an instruction to the warehouse to pick them. So that's why that little option's there. Okay, so this routine, okay, lists all the outstanding orders, item lines, okay, and it says that's how many were ordered and that's how many are allocated. And remember, in our preferences, we'd specify ignore stock levels, okay? So my buttons here, like deallocate, okay, will zero the allocation, but when I say reallocate, it'll just put the same number in because it's ignoring the stock levels. If it wasn't ignoring the stock levels, then it would say, right, how much free stock have we got, and go from the top down. And the nice thing about this is that what you would do is, if you wanted to prioritize, yeah, let's say this particular order over any other particular order for the same item. Okay, so let's say you only had 8 of this particular Kingston Ram or whatever, okay, but you've got orders for 12. Okay, so what you could do is, well, this customer's much better than those two, so I'll tell you what we'll do. Yeah, we'll move them up, okay, the list, okay, by dragging and dropping them. Okay, if I can actually do it. Okay, and then when I allocate, okay, it will allocate the 10 for them, well, 8 for them first, leaving 2 outstanding, and then not allocate any of those 2. So what you can do is you can start to prioritize, and you can even use your customer ranking. Okay, and then obviously you've got your print pick note button, and that'll print pick notes based on the allocations that you've done. Okay. Um, we've got the normal sort of options like void receipts, someone bounces a check on you, or you've entered it wrong. Refund, you've got to actually refund a customer money because there's an outstanding credit on their account, and confirm intrastat analysis. Now, it's fully intrastat enabled. Okay, so what happens is all the customers' items that you're selling to the EU, okay, will be here. So let's just kind of do this by date range, and hopefully we've got some transactions in here to, okay, so yep, today. So say, right, give me a list. Cool. Okay, so these are all the invoices that are to EU customers, okay, that have a VAT code that is actually, we've specified that we actually want to include in the intrastat. So invoice number 12, let's say, was to the French customer. If I go to the detail, it'll give me all the details on that particular account. Great. Okay, so you actually got the description, the commodity code, the type of travel, okay, which obviously we've specified them all for you there, transaction, type of transaction, and, was it free on board or whatever, okay. It automatically picks from the item whether it's supplementary units required or not. It automatically takes the weight from the item and times it by the quantity or whatever, and the unit of measure. And you can see that it was EC sales. Okay. Now, one thing to obviously mention, I'll confirm that. So when I come back to this general list, it's already confirmed, is that this on the sales side, it works on invoice. Okay, so we've confirmed goods have actually gone. And on the purchase side, supplier side, it actually works on GRN. There's a lot of systems out there that seem to have misunderstood quite what they're supposed to be doing in this area. So, on the supply side, we do it on GRN because that's when you confirm goods have come in. Yeah. For some reason, other systems want to seem to do them on order rather than actual for confirmation of goods going out or goods coming in. But this obviously does what it's supposed to do. Now, so what we do is we're confirming this, we say OK, and then when we come into that again, yeah, we won't actually have that same transaction won't actually be in there. Okay. Because obviously we've already confirmed it, hopefully. Okay, go back a bit further. Okay, so now you can see that those have disappeared. And what happens is in the accounting module now, okay, I'll just nip into there, you've actually got a intrastat reconciliation routine. And all that does is that picks up all the ones that have actually been confirmed in the customer and supplier ledgers, yeah, and allows you to actually produce the intrastat routine. But more of that when we actually look at the accounting module. Okay. All right. So we've been through the tools options. Yeah, we've been through new and find. Okay. We've been through a lot of setup there. Okay. And what I want to show you is obviously the business intelligence. Well, we've got numerous dashboards here. We've got the workflow one, which is, as we described in CRM, you can do a new sales quote from here, find customer. So you can use the menu or you can use the workflow. We've also got a reports dashboard. Okay, so we can preview things. We can highlight particular reports, and if I wanted to sort of see, well, what's it like? Yeah, I can actually, bring it up. So let's pick on one of these, so you can see what it's going to look like. We've also got a fully integrated report writer, but obviously I'll discuss that later on. That is no extra cost. That's already built into the program, and we've got a business intelligence. Okay, so we're going to add more to these, but essentially it's trying to manage by exception. Okay, so what we're saying is, for example, delivery performance down here. Okay, so what we want to know is, are we delivering on time? Yeah, so what we can see here is we're actually delivering under time. If we were delivering past the due date that we promised the customer, then obviously they'd be in red. Yeah, so if I kind of highlight that one there, it'll actually give me all the orders, okay, that actually make up that average. Okay, so we can actually see here we've actually got some where we've delivered very early, yeah, and obviously we've delivered some that are dead on time. Overdue invoices, daily sales. We've got order intake. So this is quite a good one because what it says is over the last 7 days, you know, we've sold that. That 7 days before that, we've sold this particular amount. And what does it? It sort of highlights any differences. So you can actually see, you know, why is this 7 days less than the last 7 days, or why is the last 14 days less than the 14 days prior to that? So you can start to see a trend if sales are going up or down. We can see overdue sales order items. And if you click on the plus button there, it actually expands that dashboard. Okay. So you can see that all these are very overdue because obviously they've got red next to them. So that's 36 days overdue. What else have we got here? You know, we've got volume of customers and accounts receivables or aged debtors. Um, okay, so we've also got help manager. But essentially, that is the customer module. Thank you very much for listening.